If you have social anxiety, trust me, I know what you're going through. It sucks fucking bad. I had it really bad for probably my early teenage years up until my early 20s. So a good decade I had really bad social anxiety and it was awful. I didn't want to go anywhere. I always stayed inside. I couldn't talk to people without feeling awkward and nervous, and I never knew what to do with my hands. Particularly, like I'd be standing there, but do I put my hands in my pockets? Do I cross my arms? What do I do with my hand? The whole time it's in my head, over analyzing everything that I'm doing, and it sucks. I know it sucks. It took me a long time to get out of it, but basically, what social anxiety is, it's like this feeling that you aren't good enough to speak, or that you just have like a really bad self-worth and you think you don't belong where you're at and you don't know what to say. It's all these things that stack on top of each other. It just makes you feel nervous and anxious whenever you're trying to talk to people you don't know. Shit, even sometimes people you do know. And that makes it even worse because you want to connect with people, but you even more want to connect with people who you already know and you want to further and deepen your relationship with them. And a good thing you can do to start off is take it out of your head and focus on your body. Whenever you're in your head all the time, you just overthink everything. The voices are just going crazy, like, oh, what do I say next? How do I move my body? And they just overanalyze everything, and you try to think of what to say before you even need to say anything. And what you can easily do, instead of thinking about this stuff, get out of your head and start focus on your body. So you can open your chest up more, breathe deeper. Whenever you do that, it opens yourself up and it makes you feel more sociable and you feel more comfortable being where you're at. You can stretch, just get everything open, nice and open like that, and then just speak. If maybe you're in a group and you haven't been talking at all, just say something or just actively show that you're listening. So like by somebody's talking, oh yeah, or like, oh, I haven't heard that actually. You just kind of chime in every now and then, and it lets you know that you're capable of talking, and it makes you feel more in tune with the conversation. You get out of that anxious state, or get more out of it, I guess, because you're still gonna feel it a little bit, but as you do it more, it gets better and better. Especially if you're opening up, not being closed off. When you're closed off, it kind of lowers your energy. You don't feel like talking. But if you're opened up and you're speaking loudly and you're being aware of your body and you have your hands you're moving your hands and you're not just like stuffing them in your pockets or having your arms crossed because you don't know what to do with them. Being aware of these things and doing that instead of sitting in your head. But again, I said sit in your head. To get out of that, don't use it as an excuse or think about that instead. Don't be like, oh, what do I do with my hands now? Or, oh, I need to open my body. Is my body opened up enough? Don't start thinking about those things now. Just do them and think about it. So like whenever you think about it, just do it. Don't sit there and be like, oh, am I doing it right? And start overanalyzing that too. The main thing is you want to use that as a reason to get out of your head. You do that as something else to focus on. And also being aware of your face too. So like having good eye contact and smiling. Good eye contact isn't that much more important with social anxiety, but smiling is going to make you get into that more of a social state, and you're going to feel happier, and you're going to feel more welcome in that area where you're in, because a big part of social anxiety is you don't feel like you fit or belong where you're at. But whenever you're smiling, it kind of tricks your brain into thinking I belong here. So doing both of those will really help you overcome it too, and you get out of your head more. And the non-sexy answer, and probably the best way to develop your social skills and get out of that social anxiety state, is just through experience. And you probably don't want to hear that, but it really is the best way, and that's what helped me the most whenever I was trying to get out of this. Because whenever you're going out and doing things that you're not comfortable doing, the more you do it, so like going to a bar, going to the gym, going to somewhere that has people there where you're going to be, it's almost like you're forced into conversation. There's going to come up a moment where you're most likely going to have to talk to somebody. Doing these things and accumulating that experience, exposing yourself to it, it's what's going to make you get over it more. Because the more you do it, each time you're going to stack up more experience, and it's just going to it's like part of you at that point. If you do this, let's say you went to the bar every weekend. You might not be a bar person, and that's okay. I'm not really a bar person either, but let's say you went to the bar every weekend. The first weekend, you've probably never been to a bar. Your first weekend is going to suck bad. You're going to be sitting there closed off like, fuck, I don't want to talk to anybody. It's going to just be, you're going to be all up in your head like, oh my God, am I being weird over here just standing here? And you're going to be all up in your head. And then the next weekend is going to be probably the same. And then the next weekend, it'll be the same, but not as bad. But the more you do it, it's going to be more like your element. You belong there. You start meeting new people. It's going to be like you know people there. And you can use that in any situation. The gym. The first time, or whenever I was first starting to go to the gym, I didn't know anybody in there. I felt like everybody was staring at me. I didn't feel comfortable in there. But now I've been going there for so long, I feel like I just know everybody in there. It's like almost like I belong there. It gives me a sense of belonging. So whenever I walk in there, it's like I own the place. It's because I already know everybody. It's not intimidating at all. There's no sense of social anxiety. If I go to a new gym, obviously I'm not the socially anxious person that I used to be. So I go to a new gym, I'm still pretty confident there. I can talk to people, meet new people. but it's not going to be to the extent at my like own personal gym that I go to all the time. The one that I frequently visit, are nobody there. So it's like zero social anxiety. But if I go to a new one, I'm going to be confident, but it's going to be slightly different. I'm not going to be as outgoing. I'm not going to be talking to everybody, but I'm still going to be meeting people here and there. It's because it's somewhere new to me. It's not somewhere that I have a sense of belonging yet. And it gives you, whenever you feel like you belong there, you have no anxiety. It's because it's part of you at that point. So the more you go somewhere, you start building up that experience, and it's a good way to learn. You just go to different places and build up that experience, and it'll get you out of it, and you'll become great, and you get over it quickly. And building up this experience, you get like a bunch of mini successes will build up to a point where it's your character. It becomes part of yourself. Whenever you do something over and over again, it becomes part of you. So if you have a bunch of opportunities to go meet somebody, and you keep bitching out, you keep not meeting them, and you keep straying away from the conversation because you're socially anxious and you're scared, the more you do it, the more it's going to be instilled into your self-image. You're going to see yourself as that person who doesn't talk to people, who sees yourself as the person who's scared of conversation, who is socially anxious. But the more you get these wins, the more you meet somebody and have a good interaction, that's a small win. And every time you get a small win, each time, it instills that into your self-image, and it becomes part of you. You're going to see yourself as the person who is capable of having good conversation. So what I like to do, and it's a great tip, especially if you want to go try it, it's just getting small wins. Anytime you see somebody who you're somewhat interested in, like at all, if it's somebody who you would want to say hey to, whatever, just say hey to them or smile, either one, because it's a small win socially. It's a small win, but those small wins mean something. You're the person who's capable of going to do that. So they build up, and it instills into you to where you know that you're capable, and you're going to be willing to do it more. And if you see yourself as that person, take one more small step, and you start talking to people in that setting where you feel anxious, because even though you feel anxious, you're willing to go past it because you know that you're capable of it through those small wins. And another way to get over it is to introduce yourself immediately. If there's somebody you're talking to, or you're in a group and you know some people, but you don't know others, immediately, as fast as you can, introduce yourself to people who you don't know, because whenever you do that, they're gonna feel like they know you. And I've talked about this before in other videos, but whenever someone feels like they know you, it has that connection instantly. If you were to keep talking in that setting while you're feeling anxious, but you don't know these people, y'all aren't gonna click, and they're gonna be more targeted in on your friends. They're not gonna be focused on you at all. It's almost like you're not existent. But if you go out of your way to meet them, they're gonna feel like you care about them. But not only that, you'll feel like you know them because you have their name, and it's like y'all have had that connection now. And you've probably shaken their hands, so you've had some physical touch going. Doing that, it'll break that barrier, and you're not gonna be as anxious because you know them now. Social anxiety, at its core, is just a lack of social skills. So as you develop these skills, it becomes you don't get anxious anymore because you know that you're capable of doing it. So you just gotta keep practicing, and it's super intimidating at first. And trust me, I know, because whenever I was in high school, I wouldn't talk to anybody. I would avoid everybody. If I got called on by the teacher, I would be freaking out in my head, and I'd be whispering, mumbling, because I didn't want to stand out. And it's a weird paradox, because even though you don't want to stand out, you being like that makes you stand out more, because people will see that you're being anxious. Not to make you scared from that, but it's just weird how that works. But as you start coming out of your shell, it's going to be a gradual process. No matter what, it's going to be gradual unless you really push yourself. And that's what I ended up doing. In college, I think it was my second year of college, I had this teacher, and we had an assignment at the beginning of the year where we had to pick a challenge for ourselves and make like an update every couple weeks on it, and turn in like a essay basically about how we went for the last couple weeks. And the assignment that I chose for myself was I wanted to get better at being social. So I made my assignment. Every week I had to go meet somebody new. So I had to go out, meet somebody, have an interaction, and then write about it after. And having my grade based on that really pushed me to go out and do it, and I felt like I had a sense of urgency that I needed to do it. And that was a big way that I pushed myself into doing it. So finding a reason to push yourself is going to be a great way to skyrocket your progress. But if you don't want to do that, just get these small wins and gradually go up, and you'll start feeling the anxiety just peel away slowly, and eventually it'll become to where you're just fine with talking to people. Like the other day, I approached this girl in the gym, not my gym. I went to Planet Fitness near me that my friend works out at, and I saw this girl. And I don't typically like to approach girls in groups because I just feel awkward doing it, which is something I probably should work on myself. But I saw her, like, she's really cute. If she breaks away from the group and I have an opportunity to talk to her, I'm going to talk to her. And that opportunity ended up arising, and she went to go clean up her machine, and I happened to be walking past her, so I stopped her and talked to her and everything, and had a good social interaction. Whenever shit, even just last year, I probably wouldn't have done that because I was so, I probably would have done it, but it would have been very rare. But now I can do that without really getting in my head and thinking about it. I'm just capable of going to do it. And it's just from over time getting better. And that can be you too. If that's something you're not capable of doing right now, if you practice it and practice it with people who you aren't interested in as well, flirting with the world, which I mentioned, it makes you just shed the anxiety completely. And whenever you're anxious, everybody's anxious at first. You have to have the courage to overcome it. If you are anxious and you've just been sitting in it, it's not going to go away on its own. You have to have the courage to go out and do things even though you are anxious about it. You have to push yourself and just expose yourself to these situations. Courage is like a muscle. Everybody has some courage, but the more you use it, the stronger your courage is and the more courageous you're going to be. So as you do it more and more, it becomes less and less and less of a challenge for you. If you're really shy, you probably think you don't have much to say, but in reality, you have a really high filter on your head and you're just think everything that you think of that you could say, your brain just shuts it off like, oh, that's not important enough to say, or I'm not worthy of saying that. Your brain just has a really high filter, and you got to cut the filter out. And whenever you take away that filter, you'd be amazed how much just comes to your head. You just say what comes to mind, and you can talk to anybody. It's insane. But whenever you're shy, you just have this filter. You don't even realize it. So you have to get over this and just have the courage to speak your mind. Because doing that, it's insane what can happen. You'd be a new person by next year if you really went out and tried to talk to people, if you got over this anxiety and just pushed yourself and had the courage to overcome it. Because a lot of us will just stick in it, we'll just sit in it because it's so just like anxiety inducing. It makes you scared. You don't want to get in that situation. Your brain is like in a fight or flight, like, oh, I either go in there and I fight for my life because I know it's going to be awkward, or I avoid it and don't have to sit through the anxiety. So you have to just get in there and fight for what you want because you want to be more social. Everybody wants to be more social, especially if you're watching this video. You clicked it for a reason. So if you go out and actually push yourself, you're going to overcome it. It's just a matter of time. A good thing for shy people to do, a good trick to help you get better at kind of pushing yourself and saying more, just to get that filter lower, is by adding one extra thing. So like basically, if you had a mini interaction and someone was like, hey, how you doing? You'd probably just say good. But to add that one extra thing, you'd be good. Today I actually went and did, to say why you were good basically. Yeah, today, or pretty good. I actually went and met this guy today that I never met before. You could say that to somebody. You add one extra thing to that. Doing that, it takes away that filter and lowers the filter because you might have wanted to say that, but your brain was like, oh, it's not necessary. I don't need to say more than I have to, so I'm just good. But saying the one extra thing will lower the filter and you'll be more used to saying what comes to mind. Being humble is basically just not bragging about yourself. That's what people see it as, but humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. So if you're humble, if you're a humble person, you're not going to be in your head wondering if you're worthy to speak, worthy to talk, what to say, because you're not thinking of yourself. You're thinking of the interaction, and you're grateful to be in that situation anyways, just to be able to speak. So if you're thinking of yourself less, you're not going to be in your head observing everything you do because you're not worried about yourself. You're worried about the interaction. You want it to be good, so you're going to just be speaking instead of worrying about how you're doing, what you're doing. And two good ways to start an interaction with anybody. The first one is just saying, hey, I don't think I've met you yet. I'm Devin. The hey, I don't think I've met you yet is basically like saying, I've been here a lot. I know a lot of these people, but I haven't met you yet. It gives them the opportunity to introduce themselves, and you can start a conversation from there. That's more of I guess like an advanced one. But the second one, talk to anybody with this. But don't use these as a crutch. Don't be like, after I say this, what do I say next? Just try to be present and be aware of the conversation. But the second one is, hey, I know this is random, and you can add anything. And in doing that, you don't have to have something to say to this person. You can literally bring up any topic that you're passionate about or just like. You can be, hey, this is really random, but do you like movies? I'm about to watch a movie this week, and I want to know a movie to watch. And then boom, you get their movie topic. Oh, I've actually seen that, and then you start talking about movies from there. Or hey, I know this is really random, but do you like basketball? Talk about basketball. Hey, I know this is really random, but do you like self-improvement? Oh yeah, I watched a YouTuber named Devin. He's actually really good. I'm about to subscribe to him if you want to. I'm just saying. But you can start a conversation with anything from that. Doing that will put you in that mode where you have to start talking. You're going to overcome your anxiety if you really push yourself. So keep these in mind and start to talk to random people. And doing that, you're going to get these small wins, and you're going to eventually push past it if you really try. So keep that in mind and challenge yourself and go and do it. And just a side note, if you're worried about embarrassing yourself and thinking that something might happen in these interactions, just know that people aren't thinking about the embarrassing thing that you did. They're thinking about the embarrassing thing that they did. And they're grateful that it's not them. They're going to be thinking about something that they did in their day-to-day, not thing that they saw you do. So it's gonna push past something bad does happen. There's a big chance you won't even see these people again. So don't let that stop you from going and doing this, especially if it's something that you're passionate about and really want to do. For me, it was probably my biggest goal in life whenever I was trying to push past it, because it was such a restraint on me. I couldn't go out and do so many things, and I felt awkward just being around. Even my friends I felt awkward around sometimes. And I wanted to get over this, and I wanted to be able to actually live my life. So it was a big goal for me, and I made it a point to go out and just get as many social experiences as I could. And it helped me a shit ton. I can't even explain how much it's helped me, and I really hope that you can do the same, especially if you're suffering with this, because I understand how much of a restraint it can hold on you and how negatively it can impact your life. And I know you can actually come over this if you actually try to push yourself. So I really hope that you do, and I hope you take some of this advice seriously and go out and actually practice this, because it's going to change your life if you actually do. But if you're interested in that kind of content, please subscribe. I make self-improvement videos, social skills videos, stuff for mental health, physical health, things like that. So if you are interested, please subscribe. And if you got any goals, go make this shit happen. Especially if this is your goal, highly recommend to go make this happen. But I will see you in the next video.